All right. Hello, everyone. We're excited to welcome you to EduCraftCon, a free online webinar for educators by educators. This online conference is hosted and co-moderated by Alludo with their CEO, Damon, here with us today, and myself as the CEO of Classtime. Alludo and Classtime decided to partner together in establishing a series of webinar sessions where educators can share their craft with other educators for free. This is our first time, so bear with us. In this 45-minute webinar, we will be recording and sharing this video with you after. So you will get a link via email. So don't worry if you can't stay for the entire time, or if you have another colleague that would also profit from this learnings. Also, we would like to make sure that this webinar is as engaging as possible. We'll share some links throughout, but we also highly encourage you to ask questions at any time in the chat on the right-hand side, and we'll try to have them answered during this presentation.
Well, thank you, Valentin. I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm really thrilled for our next speaker, Cate Tolnai. Today, Kate's going to be talking about how to power up your classroom in just 5 minutes. But before jumping into that, I'm going to just share a little background. For those that don't know Cate, which is unlikely, but Cate is Director of Member Engagement at Q, and Q is California's ISTE affiliate. She's been in K-12 education for 16 years and works with educators to integrate technology and future-ready learning in all learning environments. She's spent 10 years in the classroom, so she really knows what it's like in the classroom. And she's spent 5 years, maybe 6 years now, coaching teachers and administrators at the district and county levels. She's also, if that's not enough, she's also a Google certified innovator and trainer, and works with teachers all over California and all over the country. Just as a personal note, Cate is she's always there for people, always helping, and is always enthusiastic about education. So really excited to have her here. And Cate, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Oh my gosh, thanks. Thank you so much, Damon. We've known each other. We've been working together now for probably 3 years with your Alludo team. And thanks for that introduction. That's awesome. And welcome, everybody. I'm super excited to hang out with you guys for the next 40 minutes. Oh, there we go. Already. So I'm supposed to share presentation materials. Here we go. All right. Can you all see that? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Looking good.
Okay. And let's get to the first one. There we go. Okay. So I didn't plan this, but look at how much my hair looks like my little person down there. That's kind of fun. So I'm Cate, and I am all about, today I'm all about giving you guys the resources to integrate game-based learning and gamification into your classroom, starting with just 5 minutes a day. So before we get started, I actually am going to ask you all to play. So the team, Valentin's going to go ahead and put a link in the chat over there. And Damon, I've asked Damon and Valentin to stay on because I'm a people person and it helps me to present to human beings, like see their faces. So you guys are going to have to do this too, okay? Oh, wait. Looks like somebody isn't able to see the PowerPoint. Do we see that?
Yes, I can see. Are you on a? Well,
No,
I'll chat with
him.
Oh, there it is.
Okay,
Got it.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we go. We're going to have some fun. Share. Boom. And okay. So hopefully you've gone to Quickdraw. The cool thing about this is, well, you don't have to be a drawer to actually do the quick draw. So I have to draw a giraffe in under 20 seconds. So let's see if I can do it. So I'm going to, this is me on, oh. Can you guys hear that?
Can't hear it, but we see this awesome draft that's coming up.
Oh my God. So I got it. He guessed it. So you can't hear it, but he's making, he's guessing, this little artificial intelligence voice is trying to guess what I am drawing. So I hope. I hope that you guys are doing this too. He thinks it's a hand. Okay, we're gonna erase it and try again. Oh no, I did it again. I didn't get it. Okay, draw a mountain. Heck yeah, it's a mountain. All right, drawing some water. And again, I am using my trackpad. So I am not trying to show off any skills. And the fun part is that none of your players will be able to really successfully excel at all of this because it evens out that drawing boards. All right, so dishwasher. All right, last one. Let's see here. Oh gosh, dishwasher. Oh, he got it. And the skyscraper. Okay, so now we've gone ahead and we played the game. So you can see right here, some of them were guessed correctly, some not. So rake was not guessed correctly. And then the fun part is that I can go in here and I can see like suggestions on how I could have done it better next time. Do you guys see that? So yeah. Damon and Valentine, did you guys play?
I am trying to catch up to you.
So entertaining.
Okay, well, hopefully if anybody's playing, they're putting it over there.
I think we've got lots of folks in the chat that are indeed playing.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to presentation materials. So the fun part, again, about this, and I mentioned this, is that it really does allow for everybody to have this even sense of like a creativity starting point. And I've done this with educators, I've done this with kids, I've done this with leaders, administrators, and the vibe in the room all of a sudden becomes light and becomes fresh, and people are laughing and people are listening to like this robotic voice trying to guess their pathetic little drawings, and it's so cute and so fun, and it really does, like, it takes the tension out of the air. And so I had this aha, which is, you know, if you had only 5 minutes during the school day to integrate play into your instruction, how would you do it? So this is really the essential question that we're going to be looking at today. Like Damon mentioned, I'm a 10-year classroom educator, and I've been coaching at the district and county levels, and now I do the private stuff with Q. And personally, like, I just love to play. Like, I love games. I like to win. Surprise, surprise. But I like to keep playing on the reps. And so here's what we're going to do. I want you to think about your favorite childhood game, and think for a moment of some words that describe what made it fun. And this is a link. So you're going to need to go to menti.com and then type in that code 124575. And I'm going to put that code down here because, oh, thanks, Valentine, because I have to go to that screen while you guys are adding the information. So let's see. Here we go. And so I'm going to go here, Mentimeter. All right. Can y'all see that? Okay, so we have this feedback coming. You're thinking about your favorite childhood game. So when I think about my favorite childhood game, I didn't grow up with video games. I was born in 1980, and Atari would have been the biggest, really, like, Atari and Pong, I guess, would have been the big ones when I was little. I know when my nieces and nephews were born, that's when Super Mario came out, and that's when I was just like, hold the phone, this is pretty cool. But my parents never bought it for us. So I would actually make my own games. I would turn, one of my favorite things to do when I was little was to collect all my toys in my room, grab my dad's calculator that has the receipt paper that would pop out of it, and get little stickers and put it on all my toys and decide how much each toy cost. And then that would take up the majority of the time. And then I would play this game where I would like check out, and I would do this whole grocery shopping situation. And to this day, I've never worked at a grocery store, but I think it'd be really fun. to like get all the buttons. Though now it's all like computer screens. But whatever. Point being, I didn't need the technology. I didn't need the board game. I didn't need the rules to come up with a game that made it fun for me to just hang out and fill those hours in the 80s when you were growing up. And what's cool is that I'm seeing things like competition. I'm seeing people obviously love this challenge that the game brings together. And strong narrative, that's actually super interesting. If we were in the room together, I would ask that person to tell us more. But I see teamwork and say laughter, I see friends. And so really, like, it's not about what game you played, it's about what made it fun. And how can we bring, like, when I look at this list, I think a couple of things. One, how can I bring more of this into my classroom? And two, I would be hard pressed to find an educator or educational leader that would look at any of this and go, ooh, I don't want that in my room. Oh, that's not what we want in our classrooms. We don't want any inclusivity. We don't want to, no, like that just would not happen. So I think this does a fairly good job of kind of making the case for the context that we as educators bring into this space. Because I started the conversation by saying that I didn't have video games. And I think it's easy for us to default to, oh, well, when we say play, when we say games in 2019, it's obviously going to be something on my smartphone. It's obviously going to be something that comes prepackaged with rules and all that stuff. But the reality is, even as educators that didn't grow up with all those digital resources, we can hopefully still connect to the why behind our kids' choices for playing. So let's see here. Oh, an interesting fact that I found out that 67%, this is a study that came out of, I'm gonna have to look up my notes. Study that came out of, let's see, the Gamer Segmentation Report in 2018, which I didn't even know that existed, but there it is. There's a whole segmentation report about gaming. And it says 67% of Americans ages 2 and older play video games on at least one type of device. Now, I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I can attest to that number, right? They play on our devices, whether it's clicking around and finding the right fit app, or maybe it's just taking my drawing app and starting to doodle with their fingers, but they're engaging in this digital play. And so really our challenge as educators is, how in the world are we supposed to bridge the type of learning and creativity that our students are experiencing at home to the traditional classroom environment that many of us teach within? And it's a huge challenge because we really don't have the context. And let's be honest, like, let's think about those pain points. I don't necessarily, maybe the teacher doesn't have time to think about how to bring games into the classroom. Maybe the teacher doesn't have a context. I mean, here we are trying to get our littles to read and to do math and to think critically and persevere. And maybe that's not something that comes, like games doesn't come to mind when we think of those strategies or those objectives. So my goal today is to help you take your first step into this world of game-based learning with just 5 minutes a day. So my dear friend and co-author, Lindsay Blass, she and I have worked together, and we have a book coming out on this topic, published by ISTE. It's coming out in June. We'll talk about that later. But it was really important to us as we discussed this idea of reimagining learning through gameplay to clarify this theory of improvement for education. So if we leverage the power of gameplay and learning, and we empower our teachers to be designers, then our learners will experience that deeper engagement and they will own their learning in a different way so that eventually they can become these lifelong learners. And this is really, this theory of improvement is really the epicenter of our whole book and our whole, the Power Up Classroom mindset. Because again, I go back to this and I go, I don't know how many educators don't want their learners to be lifelong learners, to be engaged, to be agents of learning. And so knowing that that's our shared end goal, how are we going to get them there? And so One tip I have, so we'll be going through some tips on like this 5 minutes a day. The first thing I really think is important is for us to be able to speak the same language. So one of the hurdles I have found in talking with educators is that if they aren't sure of the words, then they don't have the conversation. So vocabulary in and of itself is vital when it comes to game-based learning. And so we want to define kind of what's the difference between gamification and game-based learning, because those words are often used interchangeably. And it's because, one, they kind of sound alike, but two, they're related. But the reality is they're different. So gamification is the idea of taking game mechanics or these elements of game design. So think like points, choice, spinners, badges, levels, taking all of these game mechanics and laying them over traditional instruction, versus game-based learning, which is really learning by playing a game. So looking at this next slide, we have gamification in action, and Lindsay refers to this as the new PBL, but it's points, badges, and leaderboards. So thinking about a gamified classroom, maybe with quests. And the gamified classroom would include, like I mentioned, badges to acknowledge accomplishments in real time versus waiting for like the end goal or the end grade. Point system. So bringing in that element of competition, which you guys mentioned at the beginning of this, and celebration, and then leaderboards to harness that social motivation. So that's gamification. And then we have game-based learning, which would include, bringing educational board games, maybe having the students design their own games, or bringing games into the classroom, maybe whole class games, like review games like Jeopardy or Frazzle or $10,000 pyramid, or is it $100,000 pyramid? Do you guys know?
I think it's $100,000.
I think it's got to be more than 10,000. Okay, and then immersive digital experiences, like playing Minecraft in the classroom, so or even just Legos, like building actual Legos, like unplugged Minecraft is Legos. Surprise, surprise. So understanding the difference between the two will empower you to engage in this conversation. And I've started to call this group of educators who are really like trying to figure out what's next as far as how to bring more innovation and fun and perseverance and engagement to their classroom. I like to call you our game curious educators, because I think you're right on the brink of unlocking what could be a really important next step, and which could actually make you very vulnerable in a healthy way with your kiddos. So you have a name. So the next tip I have is to think about what I'm going to propose to you, which is a framework for game-based learning. So to model the 4 C's of game-based learning. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that there already are 4 C's in education. But just to shake it up, we're offering you a whole new version of 4 C's for game-based learning. So here they are. Choose, clarify, connect, and celebrate. So when we talk about choosing, this is really about empowering our learners to be agents of change, like I mentioned in the theory of improvement. Clarification has to do with being able to identify skills in real time and iterate their learning journey as a result of those skills that they learn. And to actually say, oh, I do know how to do this small part of this larger activity. Versus waiting to find out if you know the whole activity and then trying to unpack which one you don't know. Connecting, right? Building relationships, progress, skills, interests, and then celebrating, which is something that I do all the time. And I think everybody should find ways to just celebrate all these little small steps. So let's unpack this with an image, because this to me is like, when I look at this, I'm making some assumptions, right? Clearly, this is an environment where kids are playing. It looks like an academic setting. I would guess that this is maybe happening after school or maybe during some free time. So lots of assumptions I'm making. But if I lay the 4 C's of game-based learning over this image, I think you'll start to connect some dots. So when I mentioned the power of choice, right? We have this learner. First of all, he's choosing not to wear a shirt. Let's be honest about that, right? Like, okay. So maybe the mom and me would say, put a shirt on. Okay. But I digress. But look at him. He's really in the moment. And he's like, I look at that and I think, oh, maybe he's wondering, which team I should rally for. Or maybe he's thinking about, oh, when I play, this is how I'm going to do it. Or maybe he's deciding whether or not to grab the ball out of the center of the picture, right? But he's choosing. He's present in this moment. All right, power of clarification. I love this. And if I could zoom in on this little finger right down here, see how he's like pointing at something happening on that board? Like he is able to see, and again, assumptions, but in my mind, I imagine that he's seeing clarification. He's clarifying in real time what is happening, whether a goal has been made or whether a kid's totally flubbed up, or whether or not the player should be like this or like whatever, right? But there's clarification happening. He's able to see his success in real time. I mean, power of connection, right? Like even this kiddo eating a popsicle is connecting with his people, right? He's right next to them. There's emotion, there's collaboration on some level. I mean, again, idealistic interpretation of this is they're all best friends and they're winning together. And then we have the power of celebration. We have this kiddo mid-clap, right? Whether he's celebrating winning or failing, it doesn't matter, right? He's celebrating. And again, I go back to the power that a game can have in a learning space. Like this is our challenge, right? These kiddos know how to play. And so many times we ask them to detach that from the learning process when it's what they do naturally. So that's my tip, is to just go back through and really think about how you can model those 4 C's on a regular basis. All right, celebration. More about celebration. So be on the lookout for reasons to celebrate all the time. And I need to say this. Kids, learners, adults, everybody, they can tell when it's inauthentic. So I really suggest like building in authenticity to your celebration and to think clearly about what and how each learner wants to be celebrated. So this is actually, I'm going to do a screen share because it's kind of fun. Again, you have 5 minutes a day to play, right? So how are you going to be bringing this into your classroom? I am going to screen share this. This is what's called a geo greeting. And the idea I had with this, thought it would be kind of fun. Oops. Let's get there. Oops. Okay. Can y'all see that, Damon?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a geo greeting, and you have the link now. And if you go up to the top corner, you can send a geo greeting, which you just type in the message. But it's so fun because it's a way to bring in more. Bring in like a flashy, sticky way of celebrating. And I use the term sticky more like a marketing term, right? Like, how are you going to get something to like stick to the memories of our learners? So let's go ahead and click to view. And I want you to watch how it's bringing, this is all, I'm not clicking anything. It's just doing this because I built it ahead of time. But I thought, okay, authentic ways to celebrate. We already have stars of the week. And we already have some systems in place, but how can we actually kind of model play using these systems? And so 3 cheers for Damon. Damon, you're our star of the day. Isn't that fun?
Super fun.
Really fun way of celebrating. And then, hi, look at these cool conversations. Oh, there's an E in Chicago, Illinois. And now I'm going to click on it and it won't load properly. Moving right along. Okay, there we go. So it plays off of, so you can bring geography into this. It can be the beginning of, any of your social studies lessons. You could be doing a lit study and be talking about settings and use it for that sense. But I just thought, what a fun way to just celebrate your learners and moments, really. Celebrate all that. Okay, hold on. I'm clicking here. Okay, so that was that. Super simple. Did I really only put one example of celebration? That's so funny. I must have been tethering my celebration because I only had 40 minutes. All right. So music. Oh my gosh. I want you to think for a moment. Imagine you're driving in your car and you're listening to the radio and that song comes on and you are transported. You are right back in, I'll use an example, Summer Breeze, the song with jasmines in the air. Do you guys know that song, Summer Breeze makes me feel fine? Okay.
Yep.
Going through the jasmine in my mind. Okay. I hear that and I am immediately brought back to my sophomore year of college when I was watching the movie Dazed and Confused all the time. For whatever reason, that was like the movie that I always had on in the background when I was studying, and just had so many funny memories of listening to that song and the soundtrack to that movie. And so this one song can actually bring back a slew of memories. So how can we strategically bring music and sound into our classroom to do the same thing, knowing that there's impact, there's a larger impact when it comes to music and sound? So there's this fabulous article, which is right down there. I thought it was super enlightening. And they, in the article, it offers, the article is really about like being playing music and being a musician. But what I took away from it, kind of towards the tail end of the article, it gives you the 8 ways that learning an instrument can strengthen the brain. I think anytime we can align what our gut feeling is to actual neuroscience, we should do it. And so I thought this was a perfect entry point. And so the first one is the argument that playing an instrument strengthens bonds with other people. And it actually made a ton of sense. I thought of Saturday Night Live, where this ensemble cast comes together. They don't necessarily know what the end product's going to be, but they're jamming. And they're not even doing it with music. They're doing it with themselves, but they're jamming. And just think for a moment about any band that you like to go to, or concert that you've been to, the dancing, the music, like there is embedded collaboration and connectivity. And so I thought that was really an interesting point to make. Like, just by playing an instrument, you're actually connecting and coordinating, cooperating with other people in the space, even if they're just watching you. And then this idea that music, playing an instrument, actually strengthens memory and reading skills. And so this came out, I'm reading my notes here. This came out of the Auditory Neuroscience Lab at Northwestern University. And there's studies that show like common neural activity when a learner is playing music and when they're reading. And so to me, that aha was like, so that's why there's all this talk about playing the right kind of music in the background when kiddos are learning or taking tests or studying, right? For me, like when I wrote my thesis in grad school, it was on music in social studies classrooms. And so I had the same soundtrack playing the whole time I was writing my thesis. And I have to wonder, like reading stuff like this, I'm like, maybe I was onto something. Maybe that wasn't just a fluke like thing I needed to do. And then finally, the third, playing music makes you happy. For the most part, maybe stressed while you're learning, but for the most part, there's happiness there. And this is a study that came out of McMaster University, which I didn't even know was a university, but it is. And it discovered that babies who took interactive music classes displayed better early communication skills, and they smiled more. What? So again, trying to think about this bridge, home to school. Like, we want our kiddos to smile more. Are we bringing music into the classroom? Now, I am a middle school teacher, so I know deep down the danger of bringing certain pop music into your classroom, whether it's lyrics or getting a kiddo to be like, I hate that song, or like everybody's breaking out in dance and you're like, where did this lesson just go? There's risks that you take, but it's a worthy challenge to take on. So I have to share this resource with you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. This has been out for a while, but I don't get a chance to share it very often. So this is, I don't know, does my little music doesn't play. Okay, wait, hold on. What? All right, what? Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna do a screen share because you guys just must hear this and I have to explain it. Here we go. All right, you good? You see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I hope you hear this. Tell me if you hear this. Do you hear that? Did you hear it?
No.
Oh. Okay, hold on. Okay, so you won't hear it. Here we go. Let's go to the Chrome Music Lab. This is a song that I wrote by clicking boxes. So you two can do this. And actually, I think we'll do it together. So if you click on that little icon or on the link over there, this takes you to the Chrome Music Lab. And again, I don't care how old you are. This is just play and music combined for all the right reasons. And I absolutely love it. So what I just showed you was the song maker. And here, these are the instructions. That's all you get. So the top cells up here, those are the different notes. Can you hear it as I click on it? You can't hear it, huh?
No.
Dang. Okay. These are all individual notes, and this is your rhythm.
I mean, Kate, what you could try is put your microphone near your headphones and see if it
I'm
plays.
so close. I don't think. That's okay. That's okay. It plays. So okay, and then you press play, and it. Oh, this is very anticlimactic. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. This isn't the right one. That's okay. So. But okay, I guess before I leave, let me say this, that the cool thing about the song maker is your entry point for knowing music theory, understanding instruments is so low that literally anybody can do it and find success. Between harmony and rhythm down here, different musical instruments, playing the tempo, downplaying the tempo, you can sing into your computer and it plots which note you're singing on that grid. And then you can press play and enjoy it, and it just loops and loops. And you can save it as a WAV file, which is what I did, so that when you go back to your slide and I stop hovering over that thing and it disappears, you'll see, wait for it. See that little icon at the bottom there? Oh, get off of that. That little black bar needs to go. Okay, but you can embed it in a Google slide, which is so cool. When you think about all the ways that you can get the students to create, maybe even just create like soundtracks for books they're reading, or a score to a historical event that occurred, or they do a science experiment and what they heard in their head as they were watching the experiment take shape. So really just empowering that creativity piece and cementing it in our brain in ways that only music and experience can. Okay, yes, I'm sure I want to leave. Okay. But this is a great resource. Again, so fun. This is a way to just play with different rhythms and different sounds. So we have, what is that? Like a monkey on drums. And then we have, what is that animal? I don't know. That looks like a cutie pie, a little something. Oh, we have kitty cat on more drums. So you're playing with rhythm and you're playing with, and they move as you click. Oh my gosh, you guys, I wish you could hear it. I hope you're hearing it on your end. And then again, sound waves. So we have, as you hit the note, you can see the ways that the sound fluctuates, their sound waves fluctuate. And so I think about this as such an interesting entry point for a lesson on sound waves or just curiosity in general. Again, you only have 5 minutes, start with one of these. Okay. Back to presentation. I'm getting really good at clicking between these, Damon. I'm getting much better, I should say. Much better. Okay. And the YouTube audio library. So another resource that I would love to share with you. We're always looking for ways, I hope, to integrate media into our creative projects and have our students do the same, but do it responsibly, right? We don't want them getting put in like YouTube jail because they used a copywritten song, right? That's not what we want to do. And we also don't want to impact the creativity process so much so that they aren't creative because they're worried about like, do I have permission to use this? So the YouTube audio library is like the solution to all these questions that we have as educators. And I'm not going to click on that just because it'll be like a digression and I don't want to spend that time doing it, but you have the link there. And what's really special about this is all open source. So you don't have to like pay or ask permission to use it. There is some you need to credit the source on some of them depending on their licensing, but there's sound effects. There are instrumental pieces. You can select and filter based on mood. So let's say you want a happy song and you want it to only be 30 seconds long, and you can actually filter it to get like those selections right there. And then you can download it to your device. Again, thinking about how you can integrate media into iMovie projects or WeVideo projects or podcasts or gosh, you name it. If they're not going to create the music themselves, this is a place to go to get the music. And again, I want to save you time. I want to save your learners time. You only have 5 minutes. Maybe it's about just diving into the audio library and simplifying your research process to actually go, okay, here is your bank of audio. Go here first. This is super empowering because, again, it doesn't require any extra, you don't have to pay. You don't have to cite that traditionally. Just good stuff. Okay. How are we doing, guys? You guys doing good? I thought I would be more interactive with you guys.
You're
I guess
great.
I'm more comfortable than I thought just talking to the camera.
That's good. That's good.
You guys okay being on the camera? Who knows?
Yes,
Maybe I'll
yes.
need you really soon. Okay.
As promised, we're here and smiling.
Okay. So another power up tip, and it's interesting because I've shown you so many tech solutions for play in the classroom, but it's not always about the tech. And I really think it's important for us to honor that each of us comes to the table with a different relationship with technology. And the last thing I want to see is an educator or a leader hold back on empowering their learners and integrating play because they don't know what technology to use. That's like, we cannot do that, because powering up your classroom through gameplay is not about finding the perfect tool. It is a mindset. It is about making the time for play, being vulnerable, taking risks together, clarifying your skills, all those 4 C's that we talked about. So again, game curious educators, where do you start? I do not recommend that you start changing everything all at once. No, please don't. I would say think about the one lesson that you can shift. Think about the one subject area that's most easily set up to do so. If you're not into designing games because you're not quite ready yet, think about games that you're already comfortable playing. Put it out into your professional learning network. Use the hashtag GBL and gamification when you put it out on Twitter or Instagram. You never know what will come and pop up. And follow me. Ask Damon, ask Valentine. Valentine's platform is fabulous for this kind of stuff. There's amazing people out there that want to help you take your next step. But again, go slow to go fast. And so this is actually a really, I think it's a pretty fun entry point. A good friend of mine, Ryan O'Donnell, he creates a bunch of what he calls listicles, which sounds much fancier than it is. It's just a list of things. So this is a listicle for avatars and characters. So you may have noticed little 8-bit Kate with the side pony at the beginning. I found that by just Googling 8-bit avatar creator, free. And I was able to make my little avatar in no time at all. In preparation for today, I made this cutie pie little Funko version of me. So the link is over there, and I would love for you guys to just start playing with it, because here's the thing, to put yourself into your presentation or
Oh, there she goes.
Oh, stand by, because it looks like we lost a little bit of a connection there. So we'll give her a couple seconds to come back.
We don't have a plan for that, Damon, huh? Well, what I guess she was gonna say is it's fun to also play around with your avatars and also create a virtual version of yourself and include yourself in the class and lessons with that avatar.
I will make sure right now that Kate's okay. I imagine we're just having a connectivity issue, so we'll give her a couple of seconds. While we're waiting, and you folks are stuck with us, are there any questions that you want to kind of think about with respect to what Kate's talking about, or anything at all that we can capture here? Want to maximize your time? Okay, we got a couple of questions coming in. I am going to just...
We'll talk about, maybe, Damon, quickly about also how you can get in touch with Kate and her learnings.
Yes.
So she does have a social profile on Twitter, Cate Tolnai, and a website, catetolnai.com. and she is going to release a new book very soon about all that she's spoken about today. Power Up Your Classroom. It's going to be available on Amazon, and as she said, going to be published through ISTE. So there you'll be able to learn more about what ideas she has and all the possibilities to really power up your classroom within 5 minutes, to gamify it a bit and introduce new elements of fun into the classroom. And
here she is.
What did I miss?
I'll give it back to you. I was just quickly mentioning how people could reach out to you, your social profile, and your upcoming book, Power Up Your Classroom.
Assuming you have the power of the internet on your side. Yes.
Exactly. So let's go back to
this.
16
avatars.
avatars.
Well, maybe you made an avatar really quick in between my drop off and here. Where did I leave off? Was there anything? I don't think there was anything super salient I said, except
you're leaving off where the avatar is kind of fun, where you can build your own avatar, and here's the
well,
links
one
for
thing
that.
I did say now that I remember. What if you were to introduce a lesson or the instructions to a test with an avatar? Different way or your test or anybody to connect to the information you're giving. I think we're good. I think we're good on avatars. All right. Let's go on to the next. I hope you make an avatar and share it. If you do, please put it out on Twitter. Tag me, tag Creative EdTech, who is Ryan O'Donnell, because he is the inspiration behind all that. Okay. Prepare yourself. This reminds me of the TV show where, the game show where you had to like uncover the hidden message in what was on the screen. I don't know, whatever. Hopefully you're tracking with me. This is a way, kind of like what I did earlier with 3 Cheers for Damon, but this is a way to have fun with your messages. So, all right, boys, this is it. I need you to play, okay? There is a hidden message in here. And we'll do the first one together so I can give you the idea. Damon and Valentine, can you see the screen? Okay.
Yes.
So the first picture, okay? Wind, but the W equals F. What is the word? Find.
Find.
Yay! Celebrating you. Next word. Lime, but the L equals T. Yes.
Time.
So we have find, time. All right, so see if you guys can get the next one. Taco
Two.
minus the AC.
Taco
So we got
minus
2.
AC.
Find, time, 2. Play.
Play.
Okay, I'm gonna help you with this one because my husband and I, when I looked at this, I was like, what in the world is that thing? Like everything I thought it was, it isn't. That is a rover. Okay, rover.
So rover
Don't forget
the
plus
R.
the Y. So the rover plus the Y minus R, the first R. And then the O.
Ovary.
No, every. Normally I would let you guys persevere in your learning, but I see that our time is running out. And then day, right? So
Day.
find time to play every day, right? Again, super simple way. Think about how you can add warm-ups and just add these elements of fun and play and stickiness to the learning that we're trying to do. The link is right there. That is a Rebus. That is free. You don't even have to log in. You don't need, it's all fun and good. And this is just a screenshot I took of it on stage. Okay. We do not have time to play quizzes, but I do recommend that you uncover quizzes because that is a super fun, engaging way to just do some DOK 1 common understanding of lessons and activities. And so here's your challenge before we go. What and how will you play for 5 minutes with your learners tomorrow? I hope you have at least one golden nugget that came out of this. I think we have like 2 minutes for Q&A, maybe a minute and a half. There's the slide that I'll leave up. And did I miss any questions that came in? Or does anybody have anything?
I don't think you've missed any, but when
you can get it
your
now.
book?
So it's available on Amazon pre-order as well as the ISTE website and Barnes & Noble. It will be released for consumption, and I will actually hold it in my hot hands on June 15th. And like I said, it's really an entry point the beginning of a conversation. We provide some frameworks for designing games, for assessing games that are already out there, and just these little power-ups, like tricks and tips to get more play into the classroom.
Cool. Well, thank you everyone for your interest, and also thank you so much, Cate, for the great presentation and the many tangible tips and tools that you've presented. And as mentioned in the beginning, you will receive an email with a link to rewatch this entire recording and also share it with any colleagues and friends that might be interested in powering up their classroom with gamification. And we'll also send you out a little survey. We would highly appreciate it if you could take 2 minutes of your time to give us some feedback on how to improve these webinars for the future webinars. So thanks a lot, and see you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Again.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks, Cate.